They used to do the darkness retreat to create DMT in their heads as well. And I had never heard him talk about this. I mean, again, I think we had to build a relationship up. And he said, yeah, we used to black out this room, and they used to go in the caves back in the day, and they would do the endogenous release of DMT. And this isn't like a psychedelic guy. I don't think he's had ayahuasca ceremonies. And he described it in such a detail that I believed him. And so then now that you talk about it, it's really interesting. So that's my only context of the darkness. Can you tell me about your experience and how you did it? And have you ever heard of someone in the East talking about that?
I have, and it's just one of those things. People go into a cave, but you don't really understand the reason for the cave until you start to dive a little deeper and understand this is a part of so many different mystical traditions. And actually, the person who is facilitating for me in the darkness, she studied in the Hindu tradition. And she was meditating with her guru for 10 years. And then the guru, after doing it, what she calls the hard way, meditating for 10 years, and then opening up her vision state, and was able to, see the deities and kind of interact in that, what we would call the astral plane, right? Then her guru is like, okay, now go into this cave. And she goes into the cave, and then within a few days, she's just permanently in that space. And she got out, and she said she was pissed off. She was like, what do you do to me? You made me meditate for 10 years and then you send me to the cave, and it's so much easier. It just happens. And he's like, yeah, I wanted you to learn how to do it on your own first before you had this tool that could help bring it to you. So really what you're doing is you're blocking out absolutely all light. So when people think, it's like solitary confinement. No, it's not, because in solitary, it's far more maddening because you have a little bit of light that you can fixate on. So instead of being in this womb of darkness where everything is absolutely enrobed and it feels infinite unless you bump into something, you focus on the light. And I remember when they actually shut the doors and turned off all the lights, there was one little crack that was coming through the window. I guess one of the seals opened up. So I ring the bell and come in, and it takes them a while for them to get used to the light, the darkness as well, so they can see that little crack, and then they can fix it, put a piece of black tape over it. Because I was already fixating on that thing. That one little prick of light was too much. It ruined the whole experience. And so they block everything out. You're in absolute silence, absolute darkness. You memorize the room first. The food is dropped in a blacked out hallway outside of the room. They ring a bell. You open up the door, stumble your way around, get the tray. And it was really, pretty bland food, raw vegan, just enough sustenance.
Where are you, by the way?
I'm in near Frankfurt, Germany. So
okay.
a house that they kind of made for this in Frankfurt.
Why there, and who's they?
So there's only about 30 darkness retreats in the whole world. There's not that many. And this one seemed to be the best. Now, the ones in the US, there's, somebody's attic in Ohio. And there's nothing really here in the US. And then there's actual caves. If you go down to Guatemala, you can go into a real cave and do it that way. But you're sleeping on pretty much the ground of the cave with a little straw, they made it real traditional.
Okay.
In Europe, in Czech Republic in particular, it's actually used as a therapy for psychiatric conditions. So they call it therapy nui or something like that. And so it's actually the majority of the retreats are in Europe. And this one just happened to be in Frankfurt, which seemed to be the best. And my friend Akshay, who was the one who told me about it, really explained having been there and having done it. And he actually went to my high school. We did a podcast together, and that kind of got me excited about it. I had that calling, that kind of feeling I had when I first went to do ayahuasca, I have to do that. He was the one who gave me, and this is the place he went. So we go to this little town called Sachbenwalden outside of Germany. The website's darknessretreat.net, I think, something like that. And beautiful little place. And, such a lovely facilitator who's deeply steeped in the practice, learned from her mentor or guru, and then been practicing for a while. And just a beautiful Airbnb vibe, simple, but a nice little Airbnb vibe. Everything's blacked out. But there was a window that you could open for fresh air because they didn't have a lot of ventilation in there. So you had to open the window. So you had one of those Mindfold masks, which is like a psychedelic explorer's essential. The Mindfold blocks out absolutely all light. It's this foam thing. You can leave your eyes open or closed.
It's like for a boga more than anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
So I would open the window just to get fresh air, which was also something that was difficult because when things got hard later on, I could think all I got to do is open the window and look out and all the visions will stop. All the challenging shit will end. But fortunately I didn't do that. But yeah, so that's the setup in the room. And like, so I memorize everything, figure out where the toilet is, figure out where my clothes are, where the essentials are, kind of get it all sorted. It ended up going a little haywire because I memorized everything based upon a rectangular rug that was in a rectangular room. And at some point I shifted that rug, I guess, moving around. So the rectangular rug was at an angle to the room. So I was running into shit for like the last 4 days of the whole retreat because my bearings were off. But so that's the room. The first few days, nothing happens from the visionary state. It's just the monotony of the darkness and the silence. And I'm just thinking about things, going through having hypothetical arguments with people that, I have grievances with, trying to plot out I decided everything. I was going to move houses in Austin. I changed careers 3 times. I started 7 projects. I quit 5 things. I was just working through all this stuff, trying to solve all of my internal angst externally, which was, what we normally do. And then about the night of day 3, I started getting these flashing, blinking lights in my eyes, just like a pulsing, flashing light. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. And then by day 4, the visionary state opened up, and it was like the twilight of ayahuasca. It wasn't full on peak where you just feel like the light pouring through the top of your head, that kaleidoscope, that chrysanthemum that's just this menagerie of colors and beasts and different things that are coming. It wasn't quite that intense, but it was like the kind of the come down or the come on of that experience. And it just stayed consistently for the next 4 days. And I had my Oura ring tracking my sleep. I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night. I didn't know what was day or night. I knew that there was some roosters that I could hear, but they seemed to crow at all different types of the times of the day and morning. So I was just in there, and I had some incredibly profound visions and experiences that, stick with me as so real and so instructive and valuable. I really credit the Darkness Retreat as probably my most transformative psychedelic experience, at least in the last, 7 years or so.